Welcome back here on Shaw, joined by a very special guest and Warriors chaplain and pastor, Don Richmond. And Don, you've been with this team since day one. It's been 12 years since this team's been in West Kelowna. You've been here the whole entire time. What's that been like for you to be with this team and see the ups and downs and the ebb and flows of junior A hockey with this organization?
Well, it's been a fabulous experience, Trevor. It really has. Yeah, really from day one. And of course, being in the interior conference of the BC Hockey League, it's a tough conference, it's a tough division. And so there's been some downs, there has been, but there's also been some great moments as well. And but there's advantages to being in such a tough division as well, because the victories are a lot sweeter because they're hard to come by, and so it's been a great ride.
Talk about a little bit about what you do with the team and what some people maybe don't realize from that standpoint, where they have a chaplain on board, but what exactly do you kind of go through with? I know some of the chapels that you do with the team are a big highlight for you.
Well, it is, and basically, I started, as we mentioned, day one, walking into the first coach of the Warriors was Mark Howell, and I walked into Mark Howell's office, which interestingly was a trailer outside Jim Lind Arena. And so I walked into the trailer, introduced myself, and I told the coach, I said, Coach Howell, my name is Don, and this is what I do, and I'd like to know if I could be a resource for the team and help out. And he was so gracious, and he let me do all the things that I'd like to do, and it was an open door and a very welcoming atmosphere there. Interestingly enough, right beside Coach Howell's trailer, his office was the Warriors trailer with the rubber mats leading into Jim Lind Arena where they would practice. So they would actually get dressed in the trailer, run across outside on the rubber mats into Jim Lind, practice, and then run back. And so that was the first year. So we've come a long ways. And of course, that first year, practicing in Jim Lind and then loading up and playing our first season at Memorial Arena downtown. So in reality, we had like 60 or 58 road games. We didn't have any home games because we didn't have any games in West Kelowna. Our home games were in Kelowna, and our road games, of course, were out on the road. So it was quite an interesting start. That's how we started. And so for 12 years, I've been operating as a chaplain, getting to know not only players, all the coaches, been here through every owner and every coach and every player. And so we basically, what it turns out to be is I have a chapel every 2 weeks. It's not mandatory, it's optional. The cool thing, Trevor, is that the guys all come. The guys all come, and it could be for the food, might be for the food. So what? They do come, and we talk about things. We don't really talk about sticks and pucks so much. We talk about character issues. We talk about things in real life that everybody has to go through, especially 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old young men who have challenges. So we talk about integrity, we talk about honesty, we talk about all kinds of character things. We talk about hard work, about selfishness and selflessness, all those kind of things. I always kind of bring a Bible verse and a prayer, and the guys know that I really care for them about who they are, not just how well they're doing and how well they're performing on the ice, but who they are off the ice, about their families, about, when players get traded. We've just finished trading deadline not that long ago, and so yeah, and we made some trades, and so of course I care about players when they move, and they move to different teams as well, which also is part of what happens with Hockey Ministries, because not only is there a chapel program here with the Warriors, but every team in the BC Hockey League has a chapel program, and I'm responsible for that through Hockey Ministries in BC, to make sure to initiate the programs and to make sure that there's a chaplain involved. So when players get traded, I can tell a chaplain in whatever team it is, oh, by the way, you got a guy coming from our team, treat him well or I'll come and get you. And so it actually works out very, very well, because it's really a resource. We want to care for these young men, as most of them, as you know, are away from home, a long ways away from home. There are some of our players who are locals, but really not that many, and so we really want to be able to care for them.
Yeah, you're talking about being here since day one, and the Warriors got to the top of the mountain 2 years ago, 2016 RBC Cup champions. What did that mean for you being with this team? You talked about it from the beginning, from trailers outside of Jim Lind Arena to all of a sudden hoisting an RBC Cup trophy over the top of your head.
That was the craziest ride in the world. The team was built, for a playoff run. That was probably physically the largest team that has ever been in Warriors colors for 12 years, and had a great run. Had a real tough series. That I remember the first series against Salmon Arm was tough, and then of course playing against Penticton, which was absolutely wild. And if anybody was at some of those games, especially towards the end of the series, it was insane in here. And so the ride was actually pretty exciting, of course, a little draining, a little emotional. And then once the team hoisted the trophy here in the BCHL, the Fred Page Cup, then away we went on to, at that time, to the Western Canada Cup, which was Estevan. And really, the ride, I remember leaving on the 27th of April. I told my wife, Lorraine, I'll be back when we lose, and we never lost. And we got home, I think it was 27 days later, and we got home on the 24th of May after being in Estevan for the Western Canada Cup, and then after being in Lloyd, a week in Saskatoon, because we didn't want to come home, so we practiced in Saskatoon and ended up, of course, a week in Lloydminster for the Royal Bank Cup, and hoisted that. It was amazing. The team has been great to me, Trevor, really has. They've kept the doors open. I think there's a real high trust level with the owner. Mark Sheen has just been fabulous to me. Coach Ryland Furster is a good friend. He's always treated me well, and the door is open to Coach Furster as well. And so it's been a wonderful relationship and a wonderful ride. But that 2016 spring was something to remember. I remember when Coach Furster called me into his office, and he gave me an RBC Cup ring, my own ring. That's pretty special. I keep that, and that's in my office. Every once in a while I pull it out, special occasions I wear it, and so I gotta tell you, that was pretty special.
Great trip down memory lane. Appreciate your time. Thanks for this, Don.
Thank you.